Thank you guys for tuning in, man. It's one of those things where we still have to stay focused on the craft at hand. This is Laws Nation show. We pretty much talk football of the Dallas Cowboys. We all know that there's a long road during the offseason, and we still have to get into the mix. The topic of today will be the talking of the Dallas Cowboys defense as well as the Dallas Cowboys offensive play as it relates to the wide receiver play. Those are things. Thank those who are part of the notification squad, and thank those too as well who listen to this show as far as the podcast. The information is down below. Always feel free to go there. I'm now internationally known. I got iTunes, Soundcloud, you name it. You type it into the podcast, you will see these episodes. So there you go. You got to get your fix on the Cowboys nations and talking about these things. But the thing that we really need to focus on, and I always say this, the defense. The defense is that's the way where you win the championships. And not just that, not just to start speaking championships during the offseason, but defense. Defense alone is where you pretty much can win games. And especially when you have your reservations on certain key players. And this offense is so young. You can only imagine if we can get this offense up to par. And the defense is going to be there. I like the aspect. I like the new wrinkles of what Rob Marinelli can do as far as the front four. And then we talked about Chris Richard all through this offseason of what he's going to do as it relates to pretty much the secondary. And shout out to those, man. Shout out to those who've been following the channel. Before I get into any topic, I just like to give a quick shout out to Q Mills. He was the first person to lay wood in the chat box, as well as Strickland. He says, "What's up? Second place." Hey, it is what it is. And Douglas Morrell is third. But thank you guys. That lets me know either you're part of the notification squad, you salute, and you're rising up to the occasion of being the first person to lay wood in this chat box. Now I'm going to call it the flame box. But shout out to those that's in there. And shout out to Jay Hustle too as well. I bumped into him out there in the streets of Dallas yesterday. I bumped into you and we had a good conversation about the defense, the directions of where Dak Prescott should be and where he's going to be. So if you guys out there and y'all bump into me out there in the streets of the Dallas Cowboys area, we can chop it up and talk live there too as well. So this is how it goes. But moving forward, as far as this defense, what we need to do in order to get things going, I do know, I hear the streets talking. The Cowboy streets are always talking about the Earl Thomas. And we also doing the comparisons of the Jeff Heaths of the world and what we're going to do with the X-Man. You guys saw that video that I just posted day before yesterday. One of those things, right? We saw those things, what Xavier Woods can do. We understand the growth that we want to see him in. And then we also looked at the aspect of what Jeff Heath can do full-time versus part-time. I'm leaning more towards the aspect of putting Jeff Heath out there only at a rotational piece. But, neither here nor there if we so happen to get an Earl Thomas. And I do know that we've been talking about Earl Thomas all this offseason, talking about, hey, his love affair for the Cowboys, how he would like to just be a part of the silver and blue, the greatest team to ever touch on this planet Earth, right? The Dallas Cowboys, the America's team, the team that everybody either hates or love. And they just not nobody that's in between, right? This team, if Earl Thomas really wants to go and wants to be on the part of this team, all he have to do is stop showing up for mandatory training camps, for mandatory training practices for the Seattle Seahawks. And then they're going to have to figure out a way to say, okay, we're going to have to let this guy get what he wants. He can come to us, and he have to come with a hometown discount. We just can't reach into our pocket and say, okay, we're going to pay this guy $14, $15 million a year, whatever he's asking for. But neither here nor there. We can really focus in on this too as well. I really want to see during this offseason, we want to know what Brian Price is going to do. We're talking about the defensive front four, right? The Dayton Jones, the Ash Are these guys going to step it up? Because we understand, and I do know this has been echoed throughout the national media and out throughout the Cowboys Nation and other people platforms. We know that David Irvin, which I call Belly Irvin, we know that he's not going to be there for the first 4 games. What ramifications does that cause upon our team? Not playing at 100% come week 1, week 2, week 3, and week 4. Those things we're going to have to patch up. So we're going to have to be really focusing on this offseason on who's going to be the guys that's going to step it up through that mix. All right, so I'm just give a Ron Drop. What you saying? He said, do your thing, Law. Shout out to you, man. Bobby McLean. What's up, Law Nations? This is from John the Almighty 92. I like that name, Almighty 92. Jordan Lewis or Anthony Brown into the slot. That's a good battle. Who's faster out of the two, Jordan Lewis or Anthony Brown? We do know that everybody right now is saying that Anthony Brown had a sophomore slump. He didn't show up to himself. But it's something crazy about the football world, whereas 1 year you can be the hero and the next year you can be the zero, right? You can argue this too as well, between the argument between Anthony Brown and Jordan Lewis, who had a better rookie year. One can say, well, Jordan Lewis had a better rookie year. And then somebody can bring up stats and say, well, technically, Anthony Brown had a better rookie year. So we'll see how the new system will come into play when Chris Richard get his hands on all of these guys. And we're going to see, too, as well, whether or not who's going to win the inside battle. Because I do know for sure that Chris Richard likes length. He likes strength. He likes that recovery speed. He likes the guy that can come down and play press. And I do know that Jordan Hip Pocket Lewis, he don't get the name Hip Pocket just for fun. This guy can control the field by just playing up tight and up press and on the type of the way that Chris Richard put his peoples in places. So hopefully we'll see that battle within the battle. But don't sleep on my other guy, my dark horse. You guys already know who my pet cat is on the offense is Michael Gallup. But don't sleep on my dark horse. And my dark horse is Marquez White. He had the length. He had the range, the strength. He actually played physical. Now, he had a basketball body last year. We know that, right? The guy was like one of those guys that was playing for Florida State, played football/basketball, and he had that frame of a basketball player. And watch how we would see the battle between making the final cuts between him and I believe it may be a battle between the Robinson guy that I did the film session on too as well a couple of weeks ago. So, and we'll see. That's why I love this offseason, because now we're seeing the real, everybody competing. Everybody have not a shoe-in positioning, even with the Cal Q's, of the worlds. And also with the Marquez Whites, the Duke Thomases, those guys that's on the back end of the back end. They're going to have to fight. They're going to have to start the fight in order to make this team. There's nobody that's going to be given a position now, because I think that Chris Richard is going to hold everybody accountable. Remember, he talked about this thing right here. Accountability, dependability. Each one teach one. This is not everybody running around talking about Legion of Boom, Legion of Boom, Legion of Boom. It was love of brothers, you see. So I love that philosophy. And even if when you hear Chris Richard speak, we all sitting to the edge of our seat saying, okay, now we have a new wrinkle. He's better, far beyond what a Joe Baker did for us last year. Shout out to Kelvin. What's going on? He said Anthony Brown gets beat bad and bites on double moves. It was his second year. He get beats bad and bite on double moves. I agree. I said earlier in most of my clippings of Anthony Brown, good question, good statement. I meant to say that he get beat bad and bite on double moves. The thing is, when you plan to cover two, you should have secondary help, or the last help of your defense would be your free safety and your strong safety. Knowing where they're going to be out there on the field means everything. Speaks volumes, right? And I think that when Anthony Brown was when he was submerged into that position his rookie year, he didn't have to worry about, oh man, and Orlando Scandrick is telling me what to do, because Orlando Scandrick was hurt, I believe, and he was able to beat out the other guy, and he was put in that position. Whereas he played more into the inside, he played more of a blitz, and he came down and he hit you and you felt it, So hopefully he can get back to that form and stop thinking and just play, read, react, and explode. But we'll see. We'll see how this battle goes. Lewis is real sticky. This from Ryan. Yes, I agree. That guy's a hip pocket. Ace, he said he agrees. Give me the thumbs up on Marquez White with the thumbs up. Ninja Nuts, they're not going to start. I don't know what the talk track was before that, but yeah. Craig English, the chat box guys, I do know that I'm on multiple platforms, so the chat box is normally located on my YouTube page. So if you're watching from another platform, just keep in mind that I'm answering the YouTube chat box. It says, salute to you, my brother. This is from Mr. RB. The boys got heat. He put the flame emojis out there this year. Even if we don't get Earl, fear the Cowboys. He got the gun with the bomb on it. Yeah, the boy's shooting all type of flames. Earl Thomas is more so like the cherry that's on top of the ice cream. We know the ice cream naturally tastes good. And I think the flavor that we're going to be pumping out is not going to be vanilla this year. It was vanilla last year. We play our cornerbacks and our DBs so far off, and we play the prevent style of defense basically, and we try to play and adjust to the quarterbacks on how they play their defense, right? How they play their offense. This year, all that's changing. Finally, we're going to have the opposition, the offense, to say, okay, in order for me to fit this ball in this tight window, I got now a 6'2" cornerback that I have to worry about. They playing press man coverage. And that's what me and my guy Jay Hustle talked about yesterday when I bumped into him live down there in the streets. He was saying like, man, I agree with you 100%. Now the opposition is going to have to think. Now, did Rob Marinelli throw in some man-to-man defense last year? Yes, of course. But this year, we're going to see a new type of flavor. Shout out to CT Cowboys DC for life. What's going on with you? DMVD, how are we so sure Marinelli will allow Chris Richard to fully implement his system? That's a good question, DMV. I think that, put it like this. It was writing on the wall that pretty much Chris Richard is implementing his style of defense once he signed with the Cowboys. When you hear rumors, when you hear noise at high levels of Rob Marinelli saying that he's about to retire, if you think that you're going to retire, you done already retired basically. But what happened was with Eberflus, he was sitting back and he didn't want to override pretty much what Rob Marinelli was going to do, or was he going to wait or not. So that's why Eberflus, however you say this man's name, that's why he went to the Colts, and we ultimately went and grabbed Chris Richard and told him, like, this pretty much is going to be your positioning and waiting. All we have to do is sprinkle in some knowledge of the system of the guys that we have in place with Rob Marinelli. To me, I have a weird feeling or a sensation that this may be Rob Marinelli's last year, and the writing is on the wall. We come hell and high water, whether or not we win big or we lose or what have you, and hopefully we win big. That this is just Rob Marinelli's last year. The guy's long in the tooth, and I think that he's on his way out. And trust me, guys, I don't have any ill feelings towards Rob Marinelli. I love his style of the way he coaches the front four, and maybe you can throw in the linebackers. I just don't like the philosophy of how he coached the secondary. And neither here nor there, I'm not into any playing meeting. These are just my opinions. These are just my thoughts. I'm not making any decisions out there for the Cowboys Nation, for the Cowboys staffing. But just from the writing on the wall, I just think that Chris Richard is the next man up. As far as coaching, we ain't lose nothing. This is for Kevin Martin. Shout out to you, Dak Run 52. Preach it. We are good, but Earl would give us the depths and the safety and keep everyone in rotation. Hey, we speak about Sean Lee, right? And that's a good question. Dak Run 52. This is the thing. We talked about the benefits of having Sean Lee. We talked about how important it is for Sean Lee to be in this particular defense. And we go into levels of games and things like that. But throughout the course of the year, if you look at Sean Lee's stats, there's not nothing that's going to just blow your mind. I don't think that Sean Lee been into the Pro Bowl as much as he should because of health is always, football is a war of attrition. We know that, right? So when we talked about Sean Lee, we know how much of a benefit it is for him to have him out there on the field. Now imagine if you split Sean Lee in half and you put another Sean Lee out there. That is what Earl Thomas brings. He brings in the intangibles that you can't even really understand. So when you're talking about somebody who can craft this defense and knows the ins and outs of what Chris Richard is trying to implement, of course we can get some marginal of returns from a Jeff Heaths of the world and also some marginal returns of the Xavier Woods. But you can only imagine of what you can have an expert T down there, and I'm talking about Earl Thomas. Now you're putting two Earl Thomases. Now you're putting two Sean Lees out there. You got Sean Lee and you got Earl Thomas. Those guys that knows the system of the football, knowing where everybody needs to be at and putting places out there on the ball. Those things speaks volumes, guys. And I do know that if you're a stat munchers or you're a stat guy, not to call you a stat muncher, you can craft your story and say, well, wait a minute. The narrative is showing that these guys have regressed. I can show you stats that Sean Lee's stats is not up there amongst the upper epsilons or up there with the best as far as stats. But the intangible piece, when you put Sean Lee out there, everybody grows. Everybody plays better. You see, it immediately stops the run. I can beat on my chest this right now, and I say when Sean Lee is out there, you're not getting the 100-yard rushing. The opposition is not going to just go out there and run over 100 yards. This guy's a heat sickle and missile, and he also knows to tell, hey, Jalen Smith, line up right here. Barry Church, when Barry Church was playing for us, come down a little bit on this side, shade this side of the field, cheat to that side of the field. That's Sean Lee. And history will show us when you take Sean Lee off the field, that's when teams start rubbing their hands together saying it's time for us to eat. We running this thing. We running this rock. So if you transpose what I'm saying, that about Sean Lee, and you add in the aspect of what a Earl Thomas does for your team collectively, he may not give you the gaudy stats in the last 3 years, but come hell and high water, he will have those guys in the right spots in the positioning. No more 6 yards cushions. Yes, Tim. This is from Tim Limsey. Yes, no more 6 yard cushion. Shout out to you for that comment. Dorrance Armstrong Jr. is the missing link. This is from B Pepper. I really excuse me. I really can't wait to see Dorrance Armstrong, to see how his skill set will relate to the NFL level. Not saying I have reservations on him. The kid is explosive. Connor Williams only gave up 1 sack in the last 3 years. I'm talking about the rookie Connor Williams that we have for the Dallas Cowboys, who we drafted with the 50th overall pick, something like that. He only gave up 1 sack, and it was against that guy, Dorrance Armstrong. I'm telling you, the guy had burst, agility to get off the edge, quick hands, short area quickness. I like Dorrance Armstrong, but we have to see, when that time comes during this offseason. I can't wait to see the evaluations of these guys, especially during training camp, hopefully during OTAs, and hopefully during when they come back from OTAs or Oxnard or what have you, and they come down here to Dallas and start practicing at Star in Frisco. Your brother from another mother, no other, should be down there watching them guys practice and explode and things like that. Brandon Stewart, what about Covington? Coveting, to me, I have yet to seen or heard anything of him. I'm going to try to push out a small snippet of a film session for Coveting. We're talking about the linebacker for those who don't know. The thing is with him is that I think they drafted him for to play special teams, to fill in that gap because we're missing some special team pieces for, for teams, who to grab some of our special team guys. So I'm still putting him on the placeholder basically. This is from Verl Keeler. He says, is Gregory suspended already? I think that you meaning that is he off the suspension? Hopefully the Roger Goodell can stop playing political football and running this thing like a political show or what have you, and go ahead and reinstate the Randy Gregory. I think that what they're doing is they're waiting for a very, very slow news week, and they're going to go ahead and say Randy Gregory is now eligible to play, and then they're going to run a special on NFL Network on players who missed out on opportunities. Watch, that's going to happen. The NFL is all about making money, making headlines, and things of that nature. So we're going to see Randy Gregory play this year. I'm just going to stand on this chair and say that and look you guys right into the eyes and say, Randy Gregory is playing. But they're going to use it as a political propaganda PC show. That's just how the NFL is. They squeeze stories and they have their narratives on teams of what they need to have to make the bottom line. Although the NFL is listed as a nonprofit, they are for profit. Trust me and believe that. Roger, go to hell. This is from Mr. Williams. Yeah, man, it is, man. It is. Roger Goodell is one of those things where it's all about money. And life has become that way, in any circuit or any arena. You don't get the truth about things anymore. It's all about click here and sign up for this, and then at the end of the day, pay $99 for that, and you just say, hey, I just want to enjoy the game, or the game may be free, but it's $300 to park. It's one of those things where it's a catch-22, and that's just life, man. That's the United States way. Everything is a capitalistic society. Everything is for a price or for a money. There's nothing free 99 no more, right? So that's just what it is. Who is this? Sheffield. What do you think about Gallup's burning as a starter? Gallup, yeah. Let me move over to the wide receiver talk. Michael Gallup is my pet cat. I really said when we drafted him in the third round, some teams had him as a second round grade. Some people had him, as far as Pro Football Focus, had him higher than DJ Moore's of the worlds and other cats that was drafted before him. So I really think that we found a hidden gem in Michael Gallup. I got a comparison. I don't want to say it yet, so I don't want to spoil everybody's mind. But shout out to Blogging the Boys, I think, and somebody else, I forgot. But I think my guy, Jay Reese, he sent me a link, or it could have been Italian Cowboys, one of y'all. Man, you guys love sending me links, helping me out with my information. They sent me a link saying the comparables of Michael Gallup is a Stephon Diggs or something like that. And I'm going to say this before the season starts. I have him better than a Stephon Diggs who played for the Minnesota Vikings. I have him actually better than that guy. So my comparison, I'm not going to say it. Wait till the season starts, and then I'm going to come out and say, this is the guy who I compare Michael Gallup to. And I'm going to say, I just got to wait to see him during training camp. And I just got to wait, too, as well, to see him go against our DBs. And I might just say it before the start of the season, who I really, deep down in my heart, who I have the comparable of Michael Gallup is. It's so crazy that it's scary, and I just don't want to outspeak my wisdom teeth on that. I just want to be able to just sit back and say it. But you guys in the comment section can give me who you think that you compare a Michael Gallup to. I like Noah Brown. This is from Williams. Noah Brown, he's been working on the offseason with D-Rob, always open. I think that Noah Brown is, from the frame, his shape, the way he runs in and out of his breaks, I think that Noah Brown is more of a comparable of an ex-receiver. I think that you can put Noah Brown on the outside along, and then on top of that too as well, you don't have to worry about blocking with Noah Brown. He can block down the field. I think that he have that quick burst and that strength. Look back at his tape. The guy can catch and pluck the ball out of the sky. Sure, soft hands. I just can't wait to see how this year is going to unfold for Noah Brown, because he got all of the intangibles that you love to see out there on the field. And I think that give this guy a chance and opportunity, he will prove a lot of people wrong. And I think that he can master that exposition. The writing is on the wall. The footsteps are so loud for Terrence Williams, it's not even funny at this point. These young wide receivers, everybody counting them out, everybody having their reservations on this young crew. But give me this young wide receiver core, and I'm telling you, I love the fact that we kind of rank like 32nd or 31st throughout the NFL. This wide receiver core is going to slap and hit everybody across the face. And everybody going to come back to this video that I posted on July the 8th. What today is? Yeah, July the 8th. And they're going to say, this guy Law Nation, he was telling the truth about this wide receiver core. Because it's just nobody that you can put a finger on and say, okay, this is going to be their production. You see, think about this. Outside of Terrence Williams, you really don't have anybody that you can really say, I can shut down. Think about this too as well. I do know that Cole Beasley or Skip Bayless, like to call him Measley Beasley, had a horrible year last year. But I'm telling you, this year alone, when you throw in the likes of the Tavon Austins of the world, right? You throw in him, who's able to get the separation, who's able to take the top off the defense. We were saying that for years. I mean, the last guy that we had this type of speed with control, because we do know that Lucky Whitehead had some speed. We do know that Bryce Butler had some speed. Bryce Butler got a mental issue. I think that he just gets too much into the game and just snap up the whole entire mindset of what he needs to do. We're beyond the sticks, but that's another story. The last time we had speed like this was Rocket Ismail. Or maybe you could throw in a Terry Glenn, but he didn't have this type of speed, that short stop, quick burst, you see. And what that does is that automatically limits the bracket coverage when you pretty much you do the jet sweep or the reverse or the end around. When you take the Tavon Austin, you line up in different personnel like the 10 personnel or the 20 personnel. This wide receiver core is going to surprise everybody. And don't worry about, okay, the Dak Prescott fiasco. He can't hit water if he fell off a boat. I understand people have their reservations on Dak Prescott, but what seals everything for this wide receiving core is actually, this is what seals everything, is Ezekiel Elliott. Remember this name, Ezekiel Elliott. I know you guys already know, but I'm telling you, Ezekiel Elliott is one of the best slot receivers that we have on this team, although he's a running back. But teams are going to try to load up the box. They're going to try to cushion. They're not going to give nobody cushion on the edge. And they're going to say, Dak Prescott, try to beat us. But the problem is, go back and watch the Arizona Cardinals game. Ezekiel Elliott by himself and with this front offensive line, those front five, they can actually exploit that front, that 8-9 men in the box, because everybody, if they lay a hat on a hat, you got one person to beat. Give me that setup any day, even twice on Sunday. You give me that setup with Ezekiel Elliott one-on-one, because pretty much a hat on a hat, you got 8-9 men in the box. Ezekiel Elliott can take it to 0 to 60 real quick, and they can get you up out of that defense. And then on top of that, you got to play honest too as well, because if you try to load up that box and you got a reverse sweep, the threat of the reverse sweep, you got that threat out there. Tavon Austin can take it to the house too as well. Who we have? DMV Law is preaching this Sunday morning. Yes, I'm preaching, bro. I'm preaching. What up, Belly? What's going on? Not calling you Belly, Irvin, but what's up, Belly? You know who I'm talking about. It's in the chat box. Jay Kelly, what's going on? Gallup equals Torrey Holt. Torrey Holt is just a slight hair faster than Gallup, though. But I got him a comparison. I like that comparison. But I got somebody else in mind. I'm not just going to say that right now. I'm not going to say that right now. Let me see what else we have that's in the chat box, man. Appreciate everybody, man, that's in the flame box, the chat box, the yoga flame area. This is from Marquez Dalty. That's right, yes. And this is from Kajon. Dak Prescott will be a down the field of the Cowboys. Will throw the ball. Will be the down the field of the Cowboys. Oh, no. My contact is dried up. Oh, I can't read today. Cajun said Dak Prescott will be the downfall of the Cowboys. Look, I can understand that you have your reservations, and I'm going to put a placeholder on the Ragin' Cajun. We can have our strong reservations on Dak Prescott. But remember, this team is not designed around the quarterback. I was telling everybody that before the draft, we must focus on the core. And all you have to do is think of this. Is Dak Prescott better than Brad Johnson? Is Dak Prescott better than a Joe Flacco? Is Dak Prescott better than an Eli Manning? Is Dak Prescott better than Trent Difford? Is Dak Prescott better than those guys? One can argue and say he's far beyond those quarterbacks. Well, Joe Flacco, you can throw in the mix of that. But to me personally, he's far beyond those guys. So were any one of those guys, reason why I'm mentioning these guys, they have Super Bowl hardware. They have ring or Super Bowl rings. One of them have rings, and that's Eli. But neither here nor there, I really think that if this team can focus on the core, which they did, they went and got everything that you can imagine as far as the replacement of this offensive line. They went and got a Connor Williams, who I just mentioned earlier, that gave up only 1 sack in 3 years. So you got that. And then they went and got a seasonal guy named Cam Fleming. That's on the offensive line. So you prepared for this battle. The trenches, the war, this is where everything goes down. And I already said about the opposite side with the defense. We didn't touch that part too as well, the defensive tackle. They didn't focus too much on the core, but they did went and got some help as far as the linebacker core. We do know that Anthony Hitch, or what was his name? Anthony Hitch, yeah, he's gone. So now they went and got a LVE, who can cover out in space, who can play pretty well what Rob Marinelli and Chris Richard is asking for. So they went and did things this draft to pretty much supplement the defense and supplement this offense, and to have actual backup people and positionings for this. So with that being said, if you look at this all together, does everything hinges on Dak Prescott? No. Everything is put in place for this quarterback to just hand the ball off to Ezekiel Elliott and to hit the guys when they open, either for short, intermediate passes, and occasionally go hit the ball down the field. Because now you have you put everything in place for this offensive line. Look, if we was a +2 games from last year, we 11-5. By us going 9-7, people fail to realize that still was a winning season. Even if we talk about all this stuff during the offseason, if we are +1 game, can you just give me this Raging Cowboy? I'm about to say Raging Cowboys, but your name, Cajun Raging, whatever your name. You just give me this. If we are +1 game, if we 10-6, will you still have the same strong reservations on this team collectively? You see, everything happened for a reason, and I think that with this staff, what they did, they looked back at everything and said, what was the main cause of us having this downfall from last year? The off-the-field issues with Ezekiel Elliott, one can raise their hand and say that, and then also the offensive line. If you put those things in place, and if you had Ezekiel Elliott all last year for the 16 or 17 weeks or what have you, I don't think we would have went 9-7. I think we would have been at least a +1 or +2 games. So now we have that. We have that in the drawer. So we'll see what this year is going to hold up. And I do know we always have our reservations on this team because it's the off season, and nobody always say the Cowboys are going to be like win every game, 16-0, 16-0. You know, no one says it. Most people are pretty much in the middle, like 8-8, 8-8 collectively. All right, hopefully, who's this? Big Country. Dak took Romo's job even when healthy. That's a good. That's a good. I guess it's a good saying. Dak took Romo's job even when healthy. Look, I was talking about, do you pay Romo or do you don't pay Romo? Do you pay Dak Prescott or do you don't pay Dak Prescott? And the ramification of paying your guys. When you pay your guys in the National Football League, the problem is that you will miss out on certain portions of players where you can put into places to help this team out. If we look back at Tony Romo's contract, the time that we went and signed him for like $105 million or whatever it may have been, we had holes in our offense. We weren't able to pay for the money for the offensive line, and we were not able to actually help out him with the defense. Now that Dak Prescott already said that, okay, I'm willing to be flexible with my contract negotiation, meaning that I'm a Cowboys first, not saying that Romo wasn't. I'm willing to put my money back or put my money to the side, and now we can put people around me to help me out and to help the Cowboys nation out to win the Super Bowl. That's what it's all about, winning playoff game and Super Bowl. And now that you have that now in the mix, it's possible, guys. It is possible. So don't put your mind all around Dak Prescott winning us games. Like I said before, if you really want to make money this offseason and when the season start coming around, you craft up the Photoshop skills. You put Dak Prescott in the bus. You then make the armor of that bus the Dallas Cowboys defense. The offensive line will be the wheels, and the engine to make this thing go is Ezekiel Elliott. That is where you want to rest everything on, is Ezekiel Elliott, and not just Ezekiel Elliott, the running team collectively. Think about this too as well. Jameis Olawale, Rod Smith, and then you sprinkle in the Tavon Austin during this wetback situation. Just going to be nice. It's going to be medieval. Trust me, guys. Just trust me. Just take my word for it. If not, then I'll fall on the sword, for the nation. This is from Jackie Smith, the enforcer. This in the mix. Be our fan base. We would give not this a second-year quarterback, not a 14-year quarterback. But our fan base, basically what she's saying is that we don't have a lot of patience within our fan base, Cowboys collectively. A lot of people already gave up on Dak Prescott. Just as so, a lot of people, tons of Cowboys Nation gave up on Tony Romo when he fumbled that ball against the Seattle Seahawks, I think 2006, 2007 year. A lot of people, a lot of Cowboys truth was saying that this guy is a choke artist or what have you. And then 2007 was a remarkable year. To me personally, they shouldn't got rid of Bill Parcells, or Bill Parcells should have just said, okay, I'm going to give you guys one more year. But we went and got Dave Campbell. We went and got the Wade Phillips guy, right? Was Wade Phillips? Bum Phillips' son, went 13-3, and everybody was saying, we're going to win the Super Bowl that year, 2007. We had T.O., we had everybody. All those weapons that Tony Romo had. All those weapons in 2007, all those weapons. Three guys, I think 11 guys made the Pro Bowl. We had 3 guys on the offensive line to make the Pro Bowl too as well. We had all these weapons around us, and we laid an egg, So it just happened, Yes, it happened. Davis, good morning to you too as well. Thank you for tuning in to the nation. And Dak we trust from Pedro. Yes, that's the way you got to go, and Dak we trust. And then, we just got to figure out a way that everybody's pretty much hating on the guy. And for me, I don't know why, but I do know why in small circles, but I'm not going to even put that out here on this wonderful platform. But everybody have their reservations. But if you look at just raw stats, and I'm not even a stats guy, you'll see that, okay, we should pump the brakes a little bit. The guy is balling, and then the guy is balling from a stats aspect. Record prediction, this is from Richard Hernandez. I got to give you a special show for the record prediction, but I think that we're going to be beyond 9-7. It's not just me sipping the tea. I think that we can be a plus game, at least a plus 1 or 2 games from last year, just along with the aspect of having everybody playing. and not shooting ourselves in the foot. That's why I was mad at Belly Irvin. He knew what we went through all last year. For him to shoot himself in the foot was just kind of crazy too as well. And Terrence Williams, come on now. Those guys shot themselves in the foot. Does the kicker issues at the end of the season bothers anyone but me? This is from Derek Williams. I think they rushed the kicker out there. He was still injured, and I think that that's the reason why he missed a few of those kicks. Hopefully, Dan the Money Man Bailey, hopefully he can get things back in order and get things back going right in the right direction. All right, so here's another comment from Rodney Jones. Law Nation, you know why. If you know, you know. Yeah, man, you know I know that I know that I know that I know. This is from Raging Cajun. Black people hype that. And he says up and say that he's the greatest because he's black. He says he want to throw in that aspect because he's black. You look at the players, look at the film before you look at the color. I think that collectively, most people look at the film and tape. Now, you have a small segment of population that will look at the color of the skin of the quarterback and then like to put those particular quarterbacks in those arenas, like the Cam Newtons, the Donovan McNabb, the Dante Culpepper, the Warren Moons, and the Cunninghams, and the RG Nee, I call that guy that name, Russell Wilson. Collectively, people will naturally have the xenophobia of putting certain quarterbacks in a certain only context of a box. Those people create those things with their minds because they don't have the knowledge or the wherewithal to watch the film and trust what they see with their eyes. They kind of put themselves in that Raging Cajun, and it speaks volumes of their knowledge of what they really have in their mind. When you start saying, okay, he's a black quarterback, he can only do this, or he's a white quarterback, he can only do that. And it is baffling to me, whereas this is 2018, and going into the 2019 year, we're getting close to that people still have a so small, minute way of thinking, diminutive thoughts. And it is crazy because at the end of the day, we see good players who make mistakes. We see bad players that somehow get a chance to win Super Bowls, like the Eli Mannings of the world and the Trent Differs. These guys are not expertise in passing the ball, or Joe Flacco. They get time and time again. Can you only imagine if Eli was a guy of a different hue, and he played for the Giants, and he led the NFL in interceptions and led the NFL in these type of arenas? What would be the massive talk tracks of the people throughout the world, So it goes twofold, and I believe that the Cowboys nation collectively, the ones that understand that Dak Prescott alone is faced with more pressure than any other quarterback that ever played for the Dallas Cowboys. Because for one, he replaced the guy that pretty much didn't win the game in the big moments, right? I understand that he had one of the most comebacks in the Dallas Cowboys history as making his team win. But when I'm talking about big moments, Tony Romo stayed injured. And now you got a younger guy, who's not an efficient passer of the ball as a Tony Romo. You got to understand too as well, Tony Romo was in his 12th or 13th, 14th season. And people make that comparison of a Dak Prescott to Tony Romo. That's just kind of like comparing a Picasso to a third grader. It's not in the same arena. And people don't look at the bigger picture. The bigger picture would be, okay, now we got a quarterback that can remain healthy. If you're healthy and you're able to play, then you're wealthy enough to win games. Healthy, you're wealthy, right? So Tony Romo's only problem was he was not able to stand upright and stay in the game. And that speaks volumes of problems. I compared the likings of a Tony Romo to an Aaron Rodgers, a Tom Brady, a Peyton Manning. But the only difference was that Tony Romo could not stay healthy. And we can always stand on our chair and say, okay, Tony Romo is the best Dallas Cowboys quarterback of all time, but he have no hardware. He have no, even in his high school or even in his collegiate career, he just not been that guy that you can say, okay, we can go back to these arenas and show that he improved the team to these measures. Now you throw in a Dak Prescott, and he so happened to be a brother. And then a lot of people look at it like, okay, Dak Prescott stole his positioning. No, Dak Prescott earned his positioning because this guy was injured. And now it's 2018. The last time we saw Romo play a good, successful year was 2014. That's water under the bridge. That's a long time from now. 2014, 2018, that's a long time, guys. So it goes beyond that. So I don't want to get into much more details of Dak Prescott versus Romo or Dak Prescott versus the other skin complexion of other quarterbacks. But we need to just focus and grow up and grow a pair and just focus and look at the tape. Can Dak Prescott make a pass? Yes. Is it the best thing? Is it an Aaron Rodgers type of pass? No. Is it a Tony Romo type of pass? No. But can he win you games? His record shows that he's 22-10. Give me that twice on Sundays. Give me 22-10. And you guys can keep a quarterback that stayed injured, and that's just the problem, with the Cowboys Nation. We must figure out a way to get beyond our small minds and put our big minds on, But why do you think Rodgers loved Dak? I don't know. This is from Beltrain. What's going on with you? Shout out to you. Prescott doesn't have the Landry, the Jimmy Johnsons, or Hall of Fame teammates either. This is from Verl. Yeah, you don't have that. Hawk Rage Cowboys, man, what's going on, man? Shout out to you, man. All right, so how long I've been going on trying to give you guys a show for a whole hour. So it's 46, it's 15 minutes till. So let's keep this thing rolling. Let's keep it going, baby. Romo, I'm not going to say that Beltrain, he said Romo sucked, period. End of day, pretty much type of talk. I don't want to put Romo in that world, right? We do know that Romo had Jerry Jones as his general manager making all the decisions. The best thing that could have happened to Romo, if we was to have some type of time machine and we were to get, what's this guy's name? Boy, my mind is gone. It's too early in the morning. Maybe I need to sip on some coffee. Man, Will McClay, that's his name. Man, I'm going for 45 minutes straight. If we had Will McClay from the birth of Tony Romo entering into 2004, 2005, 2006, Will McClay was the guy that was putting people in places, and they started to trust Will McClay during that time. They got him on a team or whatever it may have been. This team would have been different. We wouldn't have been making these crazy bonehead decisions as far as personnel groupings and going out spending tons of money on wide receivers that we already had a boatload of wide receivers already on our team. We would have focused on being more of a structured team, whether it's drafting, because you guys remember, in 2012 we drafted about 13 guys or something like that, and none of those guys still on his team to this day. So it's been a world of a crazy run with Tony Romo's career, but that's a story of a different day. If at the end of the day, everybody is pretty much at fault when you're talking about the staffing, and Tony Romo and our ages of being incompetent, as far as the front staff. Because I can look at from 2004 to at least until now, we should at least had one ring. At least one ring, during this era. Because we had the team. We had the people. We had the staff and all this stuff as far as the roster. But whether it's coaching insufficiencies or whether it's staffing insufficiencies, and you add those together, and what Jerry Jones was doing too as well, it cost us big time. Will McClay for president, Jerry McCartney. Yeah, yes. After the Quincy Carter debacle, Romo was a golden goose. This is from B. Peppers. Yeah, Romo was the golden goose after the Quincy Carter. But shout out to Quincy Carter, not to just throw this out there. He did take the team at one point 10-6. 10-6. Look it up. Don't believe me? Just look it up. 10-6 is something that we can marvel at, if we can go every year on, Dak haters should be forced to endure the season with Steve Pillerer at quarterback. Whoever that is. Yeah, this is from Burrow Killer. Yeah, shout out to you for that information. Jackie Smith, B. Peppers, amen. And that's why Dak has all of the hate. whatever B Pepper says. Yes, Jackie, yeah. It's tons of hate, man. But think about this. Let's focus back on the core. Let's focus back on the message of the day. Chris Richard, defensive coordinator, the passing coach coordinator. That passing coach coordinator, his responsibility is to coach the secondary. So that's his implementations or his mindset, his skill set, and his thoughts is going to be out there on the field, echoing down to everybody. Rob Marinelli, the overall defensive coordinator, he's going to be focused on this front four with his rotational piece, and also he's going to sprinkle in what the linebackers need to do out there too as well. He's going to have his fingerprints on all that. But now when you put focusing on one thing, remember on another video I said the difference between a laser and a light bulb. They two beams of light, two spectrums of light. But the difference of what makes a light bulb lesser than a laser is the focus. And when you can focus, horn in on what your objective is, then you can do things remarkable. Now, as far as a wide receiver, I think that collectively we're going to hit people across the face, all in the mouth, because this team, this wide receiving core, the only scouting report that most people have is on Cole Beasley. You can bracket coverage and you can try to man them up, but one-on-one, you're not going to try to do that, right? And it's going to be proven that if you have Ezekiel Elliott for a plus 10 games or plus 12 games, that you're going to be on the more of the winning side. You go back at Ezekiel Elliott history, even back in high school, the brother wins games. And now you sprinkle in what a Tavon Austin going to do. I know we're going back, but he had Fisher as his coach, and then he had the other guy, McVay or whatever his name is, for the LA Rams now as a coach. And a lot of people saying, oh, wait a minute, his numbers wasn't that gaudy. But look at this. His focus wasn't on him. His focus was on Goff and Todd Gurley. I think that now with this system, Tavon Austin never had these type of offensive linemen to run behind. He will show up and he will show out if he don't get injured. You see. And another thing, just not to just make everything dandelions and roses or tulips or whatever. Tavon Austin have to work on his fumbling. Well, not work on his fumbling. He have to not fumble. So securing the ball, that's what he have to work on. So we talked about that too as well, guys. And I always like to leave off on a positive message. You guys know this when you're up against the struggles. I always talk about putting you guys in a different mindset. When you're up against the struggles, meet it squarely face to face. Lift your chin, set your shoulders, plant your feet, and take a brace. When it's vain to try to dodge it, do the best that you can do. You may fall, you may conquer, see it through. Black may be the clouds about you, raging cowboy, or raging Cajun. Black may be the clouds about you, but don't let your nerve desert you. Keep yourself in fighting trim. If even worse is bound to happen in spite of all that you do, just remember this, Cowboys Nation. Running from it will not save you. See it through. Even hope may seem but futile, then with trouble may be beset. But remember, you facing what other legends have met. Roger Staubachs of the worlds, right? Troy Aikmans, the Emmitt Smiths, the Micah Irvins. But you just facing what these other legends have met. But when you fall still fighting. I always say this right here. Even a prize fighter, even when he get knocked out, I know you guys play that game, Knockout King, you still have a chance, still swinging. When you fall still fighting. Head high, eyes to the finish. See it through, Cowboy Nation. We will get this thing out as we go. Shout out to the Dallas Cowboys. The Zeke pre-Elliott experience, one of the best, coldest, baddest YouTube names out here in the universe, and the Mecca Gorilla Farm. Shout out to you too as well. Shout out to everybody. Shout out to Miss Jackie too as well for being the enforcer in the mix. That's all the time I have for today. I really thank you for yours. And remember, you listening to nothing but the best. Salute. I'm out. Peace. Let's jam on out to this 300. Yeah, let's get this thing going.